Wendy Bell Radio is live.
Good morning. Hi, everybody. Hopefully you had a nice weekend. I had the busiest weekend ever. I'm glad to be here because it's relaxing. You know, when you go to work and it's better than being at home because you've got so much to do. So, Brock, remember how I told you all of my stuff from the flooded basement was going to be redelivered or delivered after?
Did they just put it in your...
No, they were wonderful. And Bob and Chris were awesome because there were, I kid you not, 120 boxes. But, you know, they'll take a big box and put a lampshade in it.
Right.
But, like, you know, it was silly.
Well, at least you have all those boxes to wrap my Christmas presents in.
Correct. So anyway, yeah, that was the whole weekend. Undoing all, oh my gosh. Just organizing the basement and...
I need to take you off the screen for a second. Okay, there we go.
Why? What was going on?
Half the screen was black on the phone. It just bothers me because I want to make sure it's working. So
okay.
It's working now.
So yes, it was a crazy weekend. And then yesterday we did 15 bags of leaves. Right? Needless to say, my can is feeling exercised. Is that a visual you didn't want? Oh, yes. I dropped it. Mm-hmm. That's how I keep my girlish figure. I love my shirt, Jason. Thank you.
I didn't get one.
You know, what's interesting to me about anybody who is triggered by this shirt, it's such a beautiful thing. It's really so childish for anybody to be frustrated by this shirt. And the people who are just woeful. I love it. It's it's dirty or something. Oh, I can't believe you would wear that.
I told...
Oh, I can.
I told both of you this story. And I don't know if you guys... I'm sure you get it too.
I love it in camo.
So... Kate happened to be wearing a Wendy Bell hoodie when we went to dinner at Target.
Does she like it?
She does.
Yeah, it's super nice.
And it's funny the amount of people go, I like your shirt.
Yeah.
You know, like...
They look at you and they're like...
And if you...
I listen every day.
Yeah, if you recognize my wife, you're allowed to say hi to me. You know, and then some guy Target.
You weren't wearing it.
I wasn't wearing it, but
maybe you should have been. Uh-huh.
I wore it when I went to the basketball game because I wanted to see if I could trigger anyone. Unsuccessful.
No offense, but your wife is cuter than you, so she's probably more enjoyable to talk to, and she's probably less of a jerk. Just saying, right? I mean, if we're going to be honest.
And the guy at Target at the checkout line who comes up and says, I love the show. Why is conservatives or just people who value common sense and are tired of getting screwed feel we have to whisper about it? You ever notice
I don't whisper.
I know you don't whisper, but you know.
Hey man, come to the dark side where all things are fact-checked source and common sense reality.
I'm not saying
other than crazy
whisper.
Land.
But it's almost like...
It is funny.
It's the secret code. Like, hey, wink, wink, nod, nod.
Yeah.
I'm on your team.
It's outstanding. Whatever.
Yeah, someone will be triggered by that shirt today.
Good. They can suck it. I don't care. I'm gloves off. I don't care. I don't care how it makes you feel. You have the opportunity to make decisions on your own. Watch, don't watch, turn it off. I don't care. I literally do not care anymore.
I don't either. I
really don't.
I actually said that walking out of Target yesterday because Kate was asking me about it. If it bothers me about a certain thing. And I say, I'm just done.
Well,
I
don't care. Here's the thing. I believe this 100%.
Yeah, so do I.
And this is a very clean way of representing how I feel about a man who does not deserve to ruin the country as he's doing and is doing it in record speed. And so if me wearing this shirt makes me feel better and it makes other people angry, suck it. I'm on. Let's go.
Wow.
I'm ready.
Someone said, "Wow, Wendy just called Brock a jerk." Didn't I know? Doesn't it? It sort of kind of hurts, sort of.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't really.
No, it doesn't. So we had to go downtown this weekend. Brock helped me out. He was very nice. Helped me out. I needed to take some photographs.
Boy, is that what it sounded like a half an hour ago?
I'm sugarcoating it for people on the stream. If you'd like it to get real, I'll get real.
Why sugarcoat it?
There's a thing called a need to know.
Full transparency, baby.
Anyway, you didn't see it, but as I had said goodbye to you and John and was walking back to my car, a public works guy was driving around and he goes, "Love the show."
In the garbage truck?
In the garbage truck. Yep.
I noticed everything.
Right. Except bringing a friend on a photo shoot.
Didn't.
It's good. It's good.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Using facts to take on the woke politicians, triggered leftists, and the corporate media.
You just got to try harder not to suck.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, you're listening to the Wendy Bell radio program.
Oh, good Monday, America. It is so wonderful to be back with you. It feels like it's been forever, just 48 hours since we were last together. And I'm so delighted you've chosen to start your work week here at the Wendy Bell radio program. Thank you for so doing. We're always honored and delighted to have you along for the ride. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. I was watching Friday after work. In a way, I'm almost grateful that the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict did not come down while we were on the air. I enjoyed having the opportunity in the moment to sit back and be a consumer of the garbage that is being put out there by the media. Those of you who are not familiar with me professionally, yes, I'm on the radio. Yes, we live stream our show every single day on the Wendy Bell Radio Network app and on Facebook, so you can watch along. Yes, that is true. But for 23 years, I did television. I went to college and graduate school and focused specifically on television broadcasting. I hold this chapter of my life very seriously. I care profoundly about people and accuracy. And when I told people stories, I did so with utmost care and concern. There is great responsibility as a journalist, particularly one in television. Here on the radio, I have a lot more time to be able to get into the nuance of a story, the minutia, finer details. In television, you're up against a clock. You've got a limited amount of time to try to do something extraordinary every day, and to be fair, to be objective, and to represent the people who you interview in a fair, balanced way. I'm embarrassed. I am embarrassed for the state of journalism today. It is absolutely a disgrace. And there's a side of me that's almost embarrassed myself that I didn't obviously throw in the towel watching these people years ago when 92% of the media coverage of then President Trump was atrociously and predictably, unfairly negative. You would have thought we would have seen. You know what you're getting when you turn on the news. You're getting unadulterated, pure garbage. Garbage. It happens so fast. I haven't been on television since 2016. Like that. It has gone down the absolute swirling bowl of crap. Why do I say this? The bias, the knowing bias and lying and the deceit and the narrative that they try to push. Do you really believe that even though CNN and MSNBC were allegedly inside Kyle Rittenhouse's trial, were they paying attention to anything that was going on? I am astonished how regularly these major media players got the facts that the rest of America was paying attention to wrong and on purpose. It makes me so angry. And yet there's that flip side of me where I'm so very grateful that I'm not mired in that garbage world where some hack of a media executive, be it the president, the CEO, a news director, a general manager, whatever, an executive producer who's got their bias on straight, boom. And that is the report that you've got to give. That Kyle Rittenhouse reported, even after he was acquitted of all 5 charges, that CNN, MSNBC, Bill de Blasio, Chris Cuomo, Don Lemon, all of these idiots, Jerry Nadler, Joe Biden, push the wrong narrative. He crossed state lines with a firearm, with an AK-47, wrong. Looking to be a vigilante, looking to kill someone, wrong. And then conflating this, that it has anything to do with the ne'er-do-wells in Black Lives Matter. Because make no mistake about it, Black lives don't matter to Black Lives Matter. If Black lives mattered, they wouldn't be focused on a boy who was obviously fighting for his life. That's not just me saying it. That's a video saying it. That's a jury of his peers saying it. That's him saying it. Black Lives Matter should be worried about the 10,000 Black lives that by the end of this year will be snuffed out because of violence. It's such a joke. Such an absolute joke. So I'm home watching the replay because I missed it. Watching the replay as Kyle Rittenhouse stands up all by himself, the weight of the world on his shoulders. Can't imagine what's going on in his mind because, mind you, he's a white supremacist vigilante. How despicable is MSNBC? How disgraceful are your networks? What an abject failure is the media in general. What a disgrace. Stands up 5 not guilties, and then collapses. Oh, I was hoping LeBron James might tweet in, perhaps because everybody gives such a rip about what King LeBron is thinking as he happily counts his millions of dollars from China. That is all about slave Uyghur labor. Oh, okay. Thank goodness we've got the moral authority, ladies and gentlemen, in these hack politicians. Jerry Nadler decided that because he didn't pay attention to the trial, clearly he didn't, because if he had, he would not have gone on and made a statement that I'll read to you in just a little bit, that was through and through, hook, line, and sinker BS. Asking for the Department of Justice to now weigh in. Hey, Jerry, suck it. How dare you? How dare you think you can mobilize the DOJ against parents and now against an 18-year-old found innocent by a jury of his peers? Oh, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a serious problem in this country. It ain't black on white. I can guarantee you that. We have a racist, despicable, unbelievable, filthy media. And they need to be called out every single darn day. The examples I have of abject disgrace make me physically ill as a former television news anchor and reporter. The people who will be telling you what a racist, white supremacist loser Kyle Rittenhouse is are 1%ers. Make no mistake. The elite who believe it is incumbent upon them to be the moral compass of this country, while they, in their very jobs, represent the ultimate bottom feeders. I dare say I will never believe another word any of them says. I don't know what the redemption moment will ever be. How do you come back? It's like living with an addict. You love them, but you have to kick them out because they've sold everything you have. They've broken your heart and lied to you and deceived you and trampled on you so many times. It's easier for you to lock the door, say a prayer to God, and say, please, you do what you've got to do, Father. They are addicted to their narrative, and their narrative is evil, and it is wrong, and it is not American. That is what is wrong with this country. That. Thank goodness I get to settle down for a minute and talk about something that I do passionately believe in, and that is the work of Advanced Integrative Medical 360. Dr. Darren Dubiak and his medical practice, which offers help to people in 47 states. How many times did you know something was wrong with you and you'd go to your general practitioner and they're like, I'll give you a prescription. Or you can help me figure out what's wrong. See, that's what they do at AIM 360. They want to know what's going on inside your body. And so they order some of the most extensive blood work you'll ever have in your life. And they charge you $199 for it. Answers. That's what you get. And then you get on a path to losing weight, to feeling great, and to reclaiming your joy. Easy as that. It's easy for me to talk about them because I'm a patient. 412-227-9255. Make your appointment. Cost you nothing. IntegrativeMedical360.com. You'll love them. All right. This first hour, we're going to blow up what they laid all weekend long. The racist, disgusting, despicable media. Let's roll. Coming up next on the Wendy Bell radio program.
We can't expect Jerry Nadler to comment on the case. He sleeps through committee meetings. So I'm assuming he's probably slept through the trial too.
Joe Biden even admitted he wasn't paying attention to the trial. So why do you weigh in on it? Why do you weigh in on it?
Well,
I had no intention of saying anything all weekend long. Has nothing to do with me. And then I watched, and I was like, oh, hell no.
These are all lawyers, too. You should be happy that 12 jurors put aside all the extracurricular BS that goes on out there. And listen,
they spent 4 days. So any argument to the contrary, if you don't like it because it doesn't go your way, go cry somewhere else. A lot of things don't go our way. These people are absolutely crazy.
Well, the amount of prosecutors, Kamala Harris, she should be, of all people, saying, hey, our jury system worked. Today,
no, because she's got to play the black card.
Well, right.
Because you know what? You're not an American.
You're not a victim anymore.
You're first something else. You're first black. You're first gay. You're first trans. Give me a break with your boxes. Move along. I don't have time for it. It's disgraceful.
You gotta love you had mentioned the elite with the moral compass of the elite. You gotta love it. They'll call you out for the moral compass, but it's not how they live their life. Their morality is not on trial.
Disgraceful and predictable.
Do you think that's partly why local media is starting to fail?
How's local media starting to fail?
People aren't watching.
Because it sucks.
Well, but it's that whole, I think CNN's hurt them. I think. All right, here we go.
You know, and I think it's the power of the click. The power of clicking. Getting somebody to click on a salacious headline or a picture. Yeah, it's distorted. Yeah, we're going to get the worst picture of this individual we don't like. Do you know I took an entire semester of school in college in the late 80s, for God's sake, on photos and selecting those that aren't biased to lead a viewer or a reader down a specific path. That the word choice of headlines matters a hell of a lot. Well, you know what? Just throw it all into the garbage, because there are no rules anymore. When you're a triggered, angry, active, leftist, mobilized, toxic, narcissistic, deluded by their own grandeur media, forget facts, forget fair, forget all of it. It's such a joke. Such a joke. How about this headline? Democratic House Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler blasts Wisconsin verdict as a, quote, miscarriage of justice and calls for federal review. Hey, Jerry, sit the hell down. fall back asleep, my man, because you clearly weren't paying attention to the details of the testimony. You loaf. You spineless loaf. House Judiciary Chairman Representative Jerry Nadler on Friday called the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict a miscarriage of justice and called for federal review as Republicans demanded President Joe Biden apologize for comparing Rittenhouse to white supremacists. No, Joe, don't. Let him sue you. I cannot wait. Nadler issued a statement after a jury in Wisconsin found Rittenhouse not guilty on 5 counts, setting off a round of conflicting reaction from lawmakers. Quote, this heartbreaking verdict is a miscarriage of justice and sets a dangerous precedent, which justifies federal review by DOJ, said Nadler, referencing the Justice Department. It continues, justice cannot tolerate armed persons crossing state lines, looking for trouble while people engage in First Amendment protected protest. You don't even know what happens, you freaking boob. He wasn't armed, but don't let the facts get in the way of your full. And why does Jerry Nadler think anybody gives a rip what he thinks? You're a zero, dude. Nobody cares about you. You've been a zero for 40 years. You and Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell, all of you. Rittenhouse cannot be tried again for the same alleged crime, and the Department of Justice does not have the authority to prosecute state crimes. We know this, but apparently Jerry Nadler doesn't. So thank goodness he's decided to weigh in. I was actually waiting. I'm going to hold judgment until I see what Jerry says. You know, what's he going to feel about this? Said no one ever. Right? I have to giggle because he's such a complete moron. President Joe Biden said Friday that he stands by the jury that found Kyle Rittenhouse not guilty. He said he, quote, just heard moments ago about the verdict and says, quote, he didn't watch the trial. Okay, good. I'm sure you've got bigger things to be doing. Biden also issued a statement saying he and other Americans were angry and concerned by the verdict. Well, wait a minute. If you didn't watch the trial, Joe, how can you be angry and concerned? Right? Do you see the pattern? People weighing in on things that they don't know enough about to talk about. Republican lawmakers and other officials are demanding Biden apologize, yada, yada, yada. Tom Cotton says he needs to make it public, whatever. Vice President Kamala Harris, oh goody, I'm sure this will be scintillating and riveting, made brief remarks to reporters on the verdict, saying it, quote, really speaks for itself. As many of you know, I've spent a majority of my career working to make the criminal justice system more equitable. Really? By incarcerating thousands of Black people in California? Wow, you're knocking it out of the park, border czar. If you think I'm fussy now, wait until you hear what toxic race baiter in chief said on MSNBC. Oh my. There's that side of me that doesn't want to give them oxygen. And then there's that side of me that says, you know what? They've ruined a profession that I actually gave a crap about for many, many years. I'm taking them down. You're listening to the Wendy Bell radio program. Don't go anywhere. So it's kind of a lousy weekend in Pittsburgh, kind of like, not lousy, just chilly. Perfect time to snuggle in front of the fireplace, right? And I was grateful to be able to think that my fireplace and my chimney is safe. If it's been a while since you've had yours inspected or cleaned professionally, you've had that liner checked out, I want to talk to you about my newest sponsor, Piccadilly Chimney Sweeps. If it's been that kind of time, please call them because their certified chimney sweeps are among the best of the best here in southwestern Pennsylvania. They'll clean your chimney, they'll conduct a thorough inspection, and expertly put in a new liner for you if yours is cracked or damaged. They can also install new chimney caps and new crowns. Now, this is serious. Each Piccadilly chimney sweep has passed the rigorous Chimney Safety Institute of America chimney sweep certification process. You need to know that the people who are doing what they're doing know what they're doing and are the best. They can also repair or replace your damaged damper and repoint your firebox just like that. Get in touch with them. Go to PiccadillyChimney.com. They're a member of the National Chimney Sweep Guild. 412-221-0196. 412-221-0196. PiccadillyChimney.com. Serving Allegheny, Washington, and Beaver counties. And they're fully insured. Give them a call. Let them know that we told you to call them. They're awesome. Love brothers who stay in business for 35 years together. I think my sister and I would be at each other's throat.
That's like Gary and Diane, married and in business together for...
Right, and I think their sons, which is really great, I think their sons hopefully will come on over and help them out as well. That would be such an honor.
You know what's funny, going back to Nadler? This was the ire I was getting before the show, by the way. Isn't he the one that called Antifa a right-wing conspiracy?
Oh, I don't know.
He did.
He was walking in the street.
Waddling.
Yeah, waddling is somebody just asked him, nonchalantly off the record, and that's what he said.
So he didn't even know?
No, he has no clue. He slept through that part, too.
This was after they were basically...
It was in the summer of love, yeah.
Terrorist organization.
He's a total clown. Total clown.
You didn't give me a sheet, so just...
There really isn't one.
Yeah, I didn't know you had any...
I think Face the Nation.
With Tiffany.
Which one is Face the Nation?
That's where they started with the inaccurate portrayal of the case.
I forget who the host is of that.
I can't remember her name.
That's MSNBC?
That's Face Nation.
NBC.
CBS.
Is that CBS?
Yeah. That's what the problem is. It's just not your MSNBCs and your CNNs. It's your legitimate, quote-unquote, legacy media. Oh, Antifa was a myth. Okay, same thing. They didn't exist.
Oh, I remember that. I didn't remember him saying it was a right-wing thing.
Yeah, it was a myth. I'm sorry. Fake news. He just is a...
toxic mushroom.
Remember when they brought him up for Russian collusion? And, he's just so out of it. I don't even know if he pays attention to anything.
You know what? New York and California, boy, they know how to knock the park out.
I'm telling you, they're nut jobs. Oh, that's where I got it wrong. Someone said Nadler said Antifa was a right-wing myth. So it was only half fake news.
Excuse me, you guys. Hopefully what's now turned into a lovely cold. Fantastic.
Did you get all your leaves done?
Oh, they're all back. I mean, it was only... I looked up at the trees and Joe's like, yeah, this is only 50% of them. We normally get about 70 bags.
Patty, I have the book. It's literally sitting right here.
Of what?
Breaking the News.
Mm.
I've read it.
Did you take the cover off of it?
No.
Oh, it looked like the cover was off of it.
This is the book Patty is talking about.
Why was she talking about it?
She said I should read it. I did. I read it in 2 days, 3 days.
You had it on audio tape too,
Mm-hmm.
which was great.
I switch back and forth. So when I'm in the car, I can listen to it, and then I switch back to the book. I don't know, something about a book that's just kind of nice to open up.
A lot of people have a cold as well. It is that time of year. Don't you find, too, that if you sneeze or anything around people, they're like,
he's got COVID.
And I'm like, just relax. Relax. I'm not going to lick you.
Here we go. Thank God.
Back to my previous point that I'm angry at myself for being surprised that the media are so clearly in your face, biased garbage after 4 years of Donald Trump, after the election. November 3rd, 2020 basically told you everything you needed to know about Fox News, about the networks, about all of them, about your newspapers. I mean, honest to God, are people scratching their heads about why circulation is plummeted? You might want to sell access to your digital garbage. That's fine, but nobody cares anymore. And then with COVID, have you really paid attention? If you listen to what I say on this program, that I spend hours and hours researching. If you've ever listened to me talk about COVID, do you then go look at your news source and see what garbage they're pushing? The garbage is booster, 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 booster. Or, you know what? Once you get COVID, be done with it and move on and figure out your life. How about that? Misinformation about Kyle Rittenhouse case floods social media, TV networks. I know I wasn't the only one flipping around with my jaw on the floor, saying, do you honestly consider yourselves journalists? Kyle Rittenhouse shot 3 black men. Kyle Rittenhouse traveled across state lines with a gun. Kyle Rittenhouse had an AK-47. Those are just 3 examples of false information being spread about Kyle Rittenhouse, whose trial ended, as we well know, last week with his acquittal. Prominent influencers, including lawmakers and reporters. Now, I'm going to reject prominent influencers. I'm going to instead call these people liars, okay? Liars, including lawmakers and reporters, are the sources of some of the misinformation, possibly disinformation. Come on now. It's called purposeful lying. It's not, well, it sort of seemed like that. It's, I know, and I'm lying to you, leaving experts troubled. Now, I don't know who these experts are, but I'm troubled to see how they don't care about lying to your face. They haven't cared about lying to you about COVID. Why should I be surprised? They have no problem lying to you every day about this just in. 5,000 more people have died from COVID. The Delta variant. It's garbage. Everything they tell you. On CBS Face the Nation Sunday, reporter Mark Strassman falsely said Rittenhouse, quote, drove in from Illinois armed for battle. In fact, we happen to have that.
In the chaos of Kenosha last August, Rittenhouse, then 17, killed 2 men with his AR-15 style assault rifle. He claimed self-defense. Rittenhouse drove in from Illinois armed for battle. He knew outrage already ran high. 2 days earlier, a white cop had shot a black man 7 times in the back. The officer was never.
This guy, first of all, the case has already been decided. This isn't like this was put together a week ago Friday. This was over this weekend. Armed for battle. Well, what case are you paying attention to, you abject moron? armed for battle. He knew. Listen to these people. Is there more? Or you just wanted to grab that part?
That was just the beginning of it. I could play the whole report.
Oh, let's play it.
Okay.
Let's roll. Let's roll.
In the chaos of Kenosha last August, Rittenhouse, then 17, killed 2 men with his AR-15 style assault rifle. He claimed self-defense. Rittenhouse drove in from Illinois armed for battle. He knew outrage already ran high. 2 days earlier, a white cop had shot a black man 7 times in the back. The officer was never charged. Jacob Blake remains paralyzed from the waist down. Justin Blake, his uncle, angry about the Rittenhouse verdict.
We knew he wasn't going to jail for life, but we thought he'd go to jail and get spanked a little bit for his actions.
And he believes had Rittenhouse been black,
they'd have had him on the ground eating dirt or shot him dead on sight.
Lots to unpack here. This country's ongoing moment of racial reckoning, vigilantism, and self-defense claims from armed people who deputize themselves.
Oh my God. Don't ever pay attention to these people. Armed, they deputize themselves. I have so much to say, but most of it would get flagged by the FCC, so I have to really temper what I want to say to you. That's just a small smattering of the garbage. Do you know what Kyle Rittenhouse and his verdict have proven? They've proven exactly what Donald Trump proved about the media as well, that they're worthless. Kyle Rittenhouse was able to, in his case, show so beautifully and without him even trying that they have no intention of telling you the truth. The truth does not exist. It is their leftist way. It is only their way. And anybody who doesn't subscribe to their same twisted philosophy is enemy number one. It's absolutely disgusting. And we're just getting started. As soon as the Rittenhouse situation happened in Kenosha, the establishment media immediately created a narrative that would work with their particular preferred narrative. You know, that one that froths up a frenzy, the divide. Everybody's so, I don't know why everybody's just so angry with each other. Oh, I don't know. Maybe because night after night you're being told a whole crap load of lies. As we now know, that led to a good many mischaracterizations and errors at that time, said Jeffrey McCall, a communications professor at DePaul University. By now, those media outlets are so committed to that narrative that they can't drag themselves to correct previous errors or provide accurate details today. This not only reflects that some media outlets work with predetermined ideological narratives, but that they're also too lazy to report facts as provided in the actual trial. I'm not so sure anything is as disgraceful as Tiffany Cross. If I cared enough about MSNBC, I would put up a switchboard number and I'd say, please help me out. Call and let's get rid of this noxious woman. This noxious woman. I'm not going to roll like that because I don't want to give her too much oxygen. But you do need to hear what her take on the whole jury decision was. Brilliant.
I find these people disgusting, Ellie. I'm disgusted at what I'm seeing. It's not just this trial, it's other trials. But this in particular, the fact that white supremacists roam the halls of Congress freely and celebrate this little murderous white supremacist, and the fact that he gets to walk the streets freely, it lets you know these people have access to instituting laws. They represent the legislative branch of this country. What are we to make of that?
Welcome to the modern Republican Party. This is what these people want, and this is what a majority of white people vote for, right? When I say that a majority of white people are in favor of this kind of violence, it is because a majority of white people consistently vote Republican. Since the passage of the Civil Rights Act, a majority of white people have voted Republican, right? So, like, this is the party that they're supporting. A majority of white people pick judges like Bruce Schroeder, the judge in the Kyle Rittenhouse case. A majority of white people do not support policies that would unpack and unroll and reform this system of justice. This is what they want. Matt Gaetz is giving the white folks what they want. Look at it. Look at yourselves. It's gross. But until a majority of you stop voting for this, this will keep happening.
Do you know what's gross? The 80 people in San Francisco who raided a shopping mall and terrorized people inside, ransacked a Nordstrom's, knowing full well that nobody would do anything to stop them, armed with crowbars and firearms and other assorted paraphernalia of violence. But you're absolutely right, crazy guy appearing with race baiter in chief Tiffany Cross. You're right. We're gross. And don't you love the generalizations? Most white people vote Republican. In what planet are you living? Really? Really? You should come to my neighborhood. That ain't the case in my neighborhood. And how about her calling him a little murderous white supremacist? So I'm going to read this to you. MSNBC host, disgusted by Kenosha verdict, calls Rittenhouse a little murderous white supremacist. How is anybody at MSNBC okay with that? That is the most racist, wrong, disgusting, pathetic comments from even her. And that's setting the bar really low. I wish almost that I could be astonished, but I just feel such pity. I can't imagine what she wakes up feeling every day besides hatred for white people. Hatred for white people. All you white liberals who are like, yay. Yay. She hates you too because you're white. Is that so scary? All of the distance we've come as a country, the entirety of the civil rights movement. Dr. Martin Luther King was killed on my birthday 2 years before I was born. Can you imagine that man being alive today to hear sniveling snits like Tiffany Cross tell you and me how it really is, according to her demented, warped, racist view of things? Little murderous white supremacist. If that does not cause Kyle Rittenhouse to take MSNBC for every damn dollar they have, I don't know what will. Unreal. To say that people fly in from all over America for an opportunity to sit down with Dr. Charles Simkovich is not an understatement or an overstatement. You know what I mean. It's what happens. If you've been in an accident, if you've injured yourself, if you've suffered a traumatic brain injury, or you've been concussed and you're not right, you know how dark and bleak and helpless that can be. Dr. Charles Simkovich and the Simkovich Concussion Institute offer a revolutionary treatment. It is non-surgical. He does it with his hands. And most patients see relief in less than a week. amazing. Make your appointment, 412-366-3700, 412-366-3700, SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. I'm going to go through the entirety of the toxic, disgusting lies that are being perpetuated on MSNBC when we come back, because you must know the state of journalism today, because it's dead. You're listening to the Wendy Bell Radio program.
Hey, I'm going to see if you can guess what that guy's title was.
Don King wannabe?
Justice correspondent.
Oh, wow.
Justice?
If that's what justice sounds
I
like,
don't
I'd
know,
hate to see
but, like,
injustice.
what kind of title is that? Like, not professor, not justice correspondent.
This is what we're doing. We're creating jobs for people to be angry and to act like they're relevant in some capacity. Okay? You guys can be... We need a fracturing. We need to separate certain people. All of you who believe what that guy says, you all come over here. The rest of us who want to get back into the business of living life and loving being an American, will come over here. And that's it. And we don't need to visit. I don't want a Christmas card. That's fine. You go do you.
They probably don't believe in Christmas.
You go do you. And that's cool with me. I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah, justice correspondent.
Justice correspondent. My foot.
What a stupid title.
Yeah. You know, why doesn't he just put like equities are?
Yeah, right.
Equities are. Right.
I think the craziest thing is that on the same day Kyle Rittenhouse was found innocent for self-defense, so was a black man in Florida for shooting at cops. If that doesn't make you think our justice system does work, so all the narrative they push of if he was black, they would have killed him. I also think it's funny how Democrat in office and they're not rioting. Why is that?
I'm sorry?
With a Democrat in office, why aren't they rioting after this verdict?
I think it's been 4 days.
But what I'm saying is...
They did in other places.
Yeah, I told you what they were chanting in, I think it was Brooklyn. Say his name.
It had nothing to do with
George Floyd.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with George Floyd. You know?
All right, here we go.
MSNBC host Tiffany Cross laid into Illinois teenager Kyle Rittenhouse, calling him a little murderous white supremacist during her Saturday show. The Cross connection. Wow. Cross devoted a good portion of the show to a lengthy conversation about Rittenhouse, who shot 3 people during protests in Kenosha, Wisconsin in August 2020, and was acquitted Friday of all the charges against him. Joining Cross in that conversation was the nation's legal correspondent, Ellie Mistel, who argued that Rittenhouse had only been acquitted because, quote, the judge was in the tank from the defendant from what? The judge was in the tank from the defendant. He meant for the defendant from the jump. You know, that's a very dangerous commentary on MSNBC. The jury deliberated for 4 days. This isn't some fly-by-night decision. They didn't just say, you know what, I'm hungry. I want to do something else. This lasted all last week. And because you didn't get the outcome you wanted, what's that quack's title?
They called him justice correspondent on the screen.
Oh, he's MSNBC's justice correspondent. Doesn't that make you comfortable about what justice looks like to some people? Justice is only justice when I agree with it. Now, see, that's why we have a justice system. So 12 people, jurors of your peers, are tasked with listening to the evidence. How many times did they ask the judge for extra information, for specifications about the instructions? They wanted to see the video. Oh, you mean that video that the prosecutors withheld the high definition version of? Come on. Freaking justice or justice expert or correspondent, you hack. This is not a miscarriage of justice. This is justice working as intended for white people. And the way you know that is because of the judge. The reason why I was able to predict that was because of the judge. The judge was in the tank for the defendant from the jump. I mean, literally before the trial, he was making motions and making rulings in favor of Rittenhouse. Mistel concluded, adding, his actual decision-making favored the defendant the entire time. Wow. What an expert. I'm sure he's got a law degree. Mistel went on to argue that the justice system had been designed to be, quote, permissive of white violence. Really? How's Derek Chauvin doing? And that no progress would ever be made unless that bias was confronted and addressed. No, see, the bias here, sir, is in you and your idea of what justice means. Do you think that people, sir, who looted stores in Northern California this weekend, 50 to 80 of them in a concerted effort, to get free crap that they didn't work for? Do you think that's something that should be prosecuted? Or is that justice, according to you? Well, we've been oppressed for so long. White people have walked all over us forever. We should have some free stuff. Oh, excellent. I'm just disgusted because I still don't think that Rittenhouse understands that he's morally wrong if the justice system did not find him legally wrong, Cross added, arguing that Rittenhouse needed to understand that the moral standard and the legal standard applied to his actions should not necessarily be the same. Toxic threat to other Black people. That's what she is. She is a threat to other Black people. If this is what you're preaching, I sure hope she doesn't have kids. Because if this is what you're teaching, that white people get extra stuff, that we get special treatment and that you don't, that's disgraceful. How about don't break the law? How about don't try to kill me with a skateboard? When we come back, I do want to hear your phone numbers, or your phone calls rather. 833 WBR show. Who should Kyle Rittenhouse sue first? I've got a laundry list of options. I'm interested in your perspective, because he can sue all of them for everything they're worth. 833 WBR show. Your phone calls coming up next on the Wendy Bell radio program.
And for Judy and a lot of you who like Wendy's shirt, shameless plug, that shirt, you can get that shirt on the app. So on the website too, Wendy Bell Radio Network app, wendybellradio.com. Yeah, shop, and you can do it all on the app. Okay, hold on. Colleen? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You said what, Colleen? Okay, where are you from? Say, where are you from again, Colleen? Yeah, I can hear you now. Where are you from? Beautiful place. Beautiful. Hold on. People are saying they love your shirt.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I do too. This is honestly how some people see the world. That's scary. Their children don't stand a chance.
Nadine, where are you from?
Hi, good morning, Judith. Good to have you here.
I love too that and I've seen this multiple places, so it's just not one place. The people were saying that the FJB is wrong and you shouldn't say that, and it's just like, really?
You know what?
We sat through 4 years of you guys complaining about.
I don't care what you think.
Right.
Suck it. No.
Right. I mean,
I long ago stopped
least
giving a fat rip what everybody else thinks.
at least it's creative and
Oh my
it's
God.
funny.
It's clean.
Yes.
So Kathy Griffin, whatever, holding up a dead head, a bloody head of Donald Trump is okay.
We had to listen to look what you just did. What did you just do?
I gave the white power sign. I'm sorry.
I'm offended.
And you can suck it too.
Wow. Like I said, this is what I was dealing with all morning. She's been feisty since 4:30.
I just don't like liars.
I don't disagree with you.
It's really not that complicated.
I don't disagree with you.
I've got great sound too from Dershowitz.
Is the camo going to be available for everything?
Not exactly everything. I put it up on the website. There's like 5.
Okay, I don't know if you heard that. I believe your name was Dave. I think it was Dave. I can't find it now. For the camo, some things are available. Not everything, but some things are available in the camo. The camo was me and Wendy fighting for camo. We're camo fans. Well, we had mentioned it at the beginning. I don't know if you remember that, Wendy. We mentioned at the beginning camo would be kind of nice. And it took quite a while to get the camo. Here we go.
Found in America, so, you know. Which is really again surprising to me that there is no camo
that sounds like, Wendy.
Huh.
Wow. We're getting ready for hunting season.
It does look good.
It does look good. I don't disagree. I think the logo looks good on the camera.
I love the logo.
Oh, please. Maybe the shirt is, but I had to ask if we were fighting this morning. She was that fussy. I was like, are we fighting this morning?
I said I wasn't in the mood. Do you remember that?
I did.
All
Okay.
right. I just I'm not in the mood.
Even after I told you the pictures looked nice.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No, they really don't.
They do.
Okay. Oh. So he made horse sounds,
Wow.
neighing at me because he had to take. He was nice enough to take a couple pictures of me. I was already miserable because I hate taking pictures.
Right.
And then he brings a friend who I love, but I wasn't interested in being around people. Thank you very much. And then he neighs for me every time I smile. Nay!
No, I was trying to get you to smile because you were angry.
Mm-hmm. That's what it was. Mm-hmm.
Wow, if that's not fake news.
Mm-hmm.
Fake.
That's two white powers.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Using facts to take on the woke politicians, triggered leftists, and the corporate media.
You just got to try harder not to suck.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, you're listening to the Wendy Bell radio program.
If you're just joining the program, hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning into the Wendy Bell Radio Show. We're delighted to have you along for the ride. The question I posed before the commercial break was this: who should Kyle Rittenhouse now be suing? Looks like you guys have a lot to talk about. 833-WBR show. If you get a busy signal, don't leave a message. Just hang up and give us a buzz back. We'll get you. Let's get out to Frank in Maryland. Hi, Frank. Welcome, sir.
How you doing? I love the show, Wendy. It's great to hear you every day.
Thank you.
As I told Brock, I'm kind of bunkering down. I'm a federal worker in the Southern Maryland area, and one of the things I have to ask first to answer your question, I think he should go for candidate Biden. That would be one of my first targets because I don't know that he could actually go for him in the current position, but certainly candidate Biden. What really kills me, though, with the media is that, the mantra, the narrative is they're still using this, cross state lines and everything like that. Since when have these leftists been so worried now about borders? Why does this now matter? I mean, borders haven't mattered for years down on the southern border. So why are we all of a sudden worried about state borders?
I think it's a great point. Yeah, that's a brilliant point.
So if I can stray a little bit from that, I do, as I mentioned, I'm kind of in a bunker, federal worker, and I received two things this week that I thought were very telling of this current administration. One was a notice from, basically at DHS that the president had signed a bipartisan bill for, it's basically the Jamie Zapata, Victor Avila Federal Officers and Employee Protection Act. It was the two border agents, one who was shot and killed, and the other one was injured.
Got it.
They just did that, had a little quiet ceremony that the families of these two individuals were not even invited to.
What?
They completely, yes. And in fact, the officer who lived is extremely upset about it because he's worked really hard. I happen to know for a fact he's worked really hard for a long time to get this, passed. And, he nor his family or the family of the gentleman that was killed were invited to the ceremony of the signing, which tells you a lot about what you know or want to know about the way the administration views law enforcement and especially enforcement enforcement on the border.
Right. We, God forbid, we want to support, Border Patrol or law enforcement in any capacity, because that goes against the left's narrative that they're all bad, right? ACAB.
So the last thing I'll leave you with, and this is just kind of an ongoing thing, I received a memo from OMB, the Office of Management and Budget, on a new initiative, and it's called they launched the Biden-Harris, let me see, I want to get the word, Biden-Harris Management Agenda Vision, the administration's roadmap for ensuring equitable, effective, and accountable federal government that delivers results for all. Let me tell you, I'm looking so forward to this.
Oh, yes. Hopefully there's going to be a really high-priced slide presentation for you, too, where they can tell you how your whiteness is a problem. So I appreciate that call, Frank. Thank you so much. Love having an insider. Let's get out to Colleen in Oregon. Hi, Colleen. Welcome to the Wendy Bell Radio Show.
Good morning, Wendy. I'm just amazed how they're looking at his innocence, and he's so guilty, and his morally is so guilty.
So wait a minute. Explain. You kind of cut out there for a second. You're wondering what now?
I said, I'm amazed that they're wanting him to judge himself on his moral, killing somebody versus having the right to defend himself, that he's being attacked, and nobody is, it's like, whatever they do, they can do whatever they want to do, but we're just supposed to sit back and take it.
Correct. So who do you think should be number one on the list for him to sue?
Joy Reid.
I think she's definitely, that entire network. Take them down. Put everybody out of their misery, please. I appreciate your phone call, Colleen. Thank you for that. Let's get out to Nadine in Florida. Hi, Nadine. Welcome. Oops, there you go.
I think we've got to start at the top. We get the pretend poopy pants first, and then we just go right on down the line into the representatives, anybody that said it, and then get the media and take them all out.
I think somebody as noxious as Jerry Nadler, who says this and pushes the false narrative even further, I think even he should be on the list. You can't. You can't do that.
Absolutely. That's what I mean. You go for the pretend president right now, and then you just jump right down to the VP, and then you jump right down to the House and Senate.
I don't.
You go for the media.
And then you go for the media.
He's gonna get more than Nick Sandmann did.
You know what? I think you're absolutely right. I think you're absolutely right. He and Nick Sandmann can go buy an island somewhere. And, I don't think it's wonderful. They could probably buy America. Let's get out to Tony in Pittsburgh. Hey, Tony, welcome.
Hey, Wendy, good morning. Hey, I agree with your sign. You are fabulous.
You're the best.
Hey, what I said about the case once I heard he was acquitted, I said, let's be clear, Kyle Rittenhouse is not a hero, but he is innocent. He is not a racist or a white supremacist. End of story. I mean, I can't believe that we're experiencing what we're experiencing. I do believe it. But didn't Biden come out and say, like, almost immediately when this trial started that he was a white supremacist?
Yes. It's exactly what he said. And he was calling, he was actually used it in the vein of Donald Trump, then President Trump, obviously, not calling out this sort of stuff like Charlottesville, because God forbid we can stop beating that dead horse that they lied about then too.
It's just such a joke. And, somebody has to be held accountable. Again, I don't think the guy's a hero. That's the problem. People on one side are treating him as a hero. People on the other side are treating him as a murderer.
And I got away with it. Tony, I got to admit with you here, I do not think Kyle Rittenhouse is some kind of a hero. I think that he had a split-second decision to make, or he was going to get his head bashed in. You can say what you want to say about whether or not he should have been there. I'm not into armchair quarterbacking. The kid was there. All right. He was there, and he was there for the reasons that he said he was there. He wanted to help protect his community. I get it. And he defended himself. That does not make him a hero. It does not make him a martyr. It does not make him a vigilante. It makes him acquitted. And that's all that matters in this particular case moving forward. Let's get out to Jeff in Pittsburgh. Hi, Jeff. Welcome, sir.
Hey, Wendy, how are you?
Good.
Hey, I have two things. I want to answer your question, and I have a comment. And to start with, I believe that it should go from the top down who he should sue. The president. The president, de facto. Any senator, any Republican or not Republican, any representative who has bashed this kid, CNN, MSNBC, all of them. They should all be, getting,
networks,
right, in lawsuits. 100%. He should get with Sandman and see who his attorneys were, and they should join together. But it was a travesty what they did to that kid. The president on him a white supremacist. It's unbelievable. But hey, to move on to my comment real quick, I know you're busy. You do an awesome job. My wife and I listen to you every day, and strong voices like you need to be heard. I just have a quick question. Any chance of you running for, a Senate seat for us, for Congress, for the, governor? Anything, Wendy, would be. I think you would be a voice and a voice of reason, and we would be a strong supporter for you if you ever decided to go that route.
Well, you're very kind. Thank you very much. I think I can infuriate more people by staying exactly where I am. And, I think it would be soul crushing to find out how corrupt government actually is. So I like to float on the outside and help the people who I think are the best, certainly smarter than I am, get into office. Thank you for that, though, Jeff. Appreciate you. Matthew's in Johnstown. Hi, Matthew. Welcome, sir.
Hi, Wendy. How are you today?
Good.
Okay. I think that Kyle Rittenhouse should sue everybody that defamed him. I mean, there's no reason for that.
I agree.
And that guy that was on that Tiffany show, he's a professor of law at Georgetown University Law School.
Scary as heck. Does that scare the heck out of you or what? You still there?
How can you have a person like that teaching?
Yeah.
Is supposed to know the law, teaching the best, supposed to be the best lawyers in the United States.
You know what? You know what would have been nice? What would have been refreshing? What would have been honest is for anyone on MSNBC to say, you know what? Though I may disagree with what the jury decided, this is the way our system fundamentally works. But they can't possibly do that because they need you to believe that everything is racist. Everything is racist. And certainly the justice system is racist. I appreciate the call, Matthew. Guys, keep calling in. We got more of your calls coming up in just a minute. It's so obvious, the playbook. When you are the left and everything that you do sucks, immigration, COVID, economy, supply chain, gasoline, inflation, everything is a disaster. You've got to hold on to something. You've got to beat the person who's on the ladder ahead of you. You got to try to take their feet out from underneath you. Nobody tries to kick the person below them, yes? Why do you think the left are mobilizing against Tucker Carlson? He's the great new Donald Trump. He's the bane of existence now, according to leftist media figures. Why? Because he's winning. Because he's got droves of followers and they're making gobs of cash. Meanwhile, CNN, MSNBC, and the networks are sucking wind. Connect those dots. It's so hard to figure out, isn't it? I do want to thank Tom Yakupin from West Penn Life and Health. He does something that I think is very unique. And Brock has sat down with him and talked to him about his products for insurance. Look, if you need insurance, if you're a gig worker or you're a small business owner and you want to get insurance for your employees, there's so many options. It's dizzying. You can't possibly know if you're making the right decision for you. Tom Yakupin with New Era Health Plans, that's what he represents, tells me conservatively, he can save you between 25 and 50% at a minimum on the crippling cost of your monthly premiums, your co-pays, your deductibles. He sits down with you and listens to you and your story before he pushes you in the direction of something that he thinks is good for you. And then you save money. Simple as that. If you like this idea of working with an expert who's a patriot and a good guy, then call Tom Yakupin today. 724-230-4500. Request a free quote or an online consultation. Go to www.newerahealthplans.com to learn more. So the question was, who should I almost called him Nick Sandman, who should Kyle Rittenhouse sue first? Doesn't even matter. I think you should take all of them for a ride. More of your calls coming up after this on the Wendy Bell Radio program. This is a great opportunity for me to thank Gary and Diane Ireland from Ireland Contracting for what they do for this program. They obviously sponsor the BS board, but this is a great opportunity for me to tell you what I think about them. They are A+ rated by Angie's List, by Guild Quality, the Better Business Bureau, and by us here at the Wendy Bell Radio program. Ireland Contracting are your home remodeling exterior experts. They have the greatest Amish installers who are fantastic craftsmen. And they work within your budget. These are good, hardworking, honest people. They're not going to gouge you on your home exterior project, your siding, your soffit facial windows, your skylights, new roofing, whatever you need. They are outstanding. So get in touch with Ireland Contracting. Get a free estimate from them. 800-NEW-ROOF. Call 1-800-NEW-ROOF or go to IrelandContracting.com. Tell them we sent you. They're awesome people.
I got a question for you.
Hmm.
Do you think that the judge or whomever in this situation will be harder on these guys because they didn't learn their lesson from Nicholas Sandman?
Mm-mm.
You think it'll be just the same?
Mm-hmm.
See,
They didn't learn either.
I think that whomever the judge is going to be like, you didn't learn the first time? Here, let me make it hurt a little more so you learn this time.
I don't know.
Well, we know who's going to be funding the media side of the lawsuit, Bill Gates.
Mm-hmm. He already does fund them all.
That was mine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no one's paying any attention to the Giselle or Jason or Maxwell case.
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Ghislaine.
Mm-hmm. How is she allowed to fly under the radar?
Why isn't that one on
Why
TV?
isn't that one televised? You know?
Because of Bill Gates.
Because of all of the people. How many media people?
I don't know. George Soros owns the media. Not after what we talked about, last Thursday.
Yeah, Bill Gates spends a shite ton of money. $391 million so far in 2021. Unbelievable.
Hold on, please.
You know, Brock just asked an interesting question in the commercial break. Do I believe that whomever the judge is who hears any of Kyle Rittenhouse's lawsuits against media, do I believe that he or she will come down harder on the media for what they've done to Kyle Rittenhouse? Because they clearly didn't learn their lesson with Nick Sandman. I don't think so per se. But they're not getting it. You're not understanding. And I don't know, maybe it is Bill Gates who's going to pay off the hundreds of millions of dollars of cases, because there will be hundreds of millions of dollars. Absolutely so. Let's get out to Tony in Virginia. Hi, Tony. Thanks for holding, sir.
No problem.
What's up?
Oh, no, I'm just watching your show here, and I like your shirt, by the way.
Thank you.
Who doesn't like camo anyways?
Did you just say who doesn't like camo? I know, right? It would be un-American.
Yeah. The way I see it, Kyle should sue every single news media.
I agree. I mean, I think it's a no-brainer. And we played the montage last week for you of all of the news outlets basically lying, hook, line, and sinker about him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I appreciate you weighing in. Thanks, Tony. Let's get out to Jamie in Missouri. Hi, Jamie.
Hi, Wendy. I caught your cold here in Missouri, so work with me.
Aw.
I think that Kamala's Freedom Fund and getting repeated offenders out on the street and funding that, I think they should go after the Freedom Fund because Kamala Harris was funding violence, A. B, page 1,957 of the Build Back Better bill per Kamak. You had her on your show.
Kat Kamak. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Page 1,957 is for controlled media for our Build Back Better plan.
Right.
So, yeah, I think you should go. And then I have a 17-year-old granddaughter who teaches RSO, who volunteers to teach basketball. It's her senior year. And this was encouraged, paid for, allowed violence until people came to the point of break.
Mm-hmm.
And Kyle was just putting out fires. Somebody else was starting.
Mm-hmm.
And look at the history. I'm not saying they deserve to die, but by gosh, that kid was scared.
I agree.
And he ran to the police with his head up. And I'm looking at my 18-year-old grandson and thinking, you know, my son's military. That could have been my kid.
100%
trying
correct.
to help his community.
100%.
Go after Kamala and the BLM that's being funded.
I don't disagree with you. I think you bring up a great point, Jamie. Thank you for that, and I hope you feel better. Let's get out to Lisa in Pennsylvania. Hi, Lisa. What's going on?
Hi, Wendy. I love your show. I listen to you every day, and even during my breaks during work, I put you on.
Thank
so
you.
I love listening. I agree everything should be sued. The whole media, everything. And the problem I feel, this has been going on for so long, and I feel it started with Obama when all the riots went on, that it's become the new norm.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, people just accept this, but my question is, why isn't anyone asking that there were 3 criminals on the street with illegal arms? No one mentions that.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay.
Right.
That is perfectly fine.
Right.
But you want to take an innocent child who was trying to protect his community and then slander him and make him that he was the one in the wrong.
100%.
So, yeah, this is this world has gone crazy.
I agree with you.
And I just totally think all the media, and even with the politicians, when they slander politicians, and I don't care what side of the fence you're on, they let it go. If you start making people accountable for their actions, like it's supposed to be, it may stop.
Well,
it may stop.
It could, but this is also the country now where showing your work in math is racist. So my suspicion is accountability isn't really high up on the left's policy agenda. Appreciate the call, Lisa. Thanks for that. More calls and some interesting sounds from Alan Dershowitz. He says some brilliant stuff. Don't miss it. Coming up next on the Wendy Bell Radio program.
Are you looking? I'm When's Michael come home?
He was supposed to yesterday, but I guess he didn't wake up early enough, and he didn't want to drive through West Virginia in the dark. So I think today, Jack comes home today too. So
What time you have to pick him up?
I have no idea. He went to the Steeler game last night. That was his birthday present. I got him tickets to that. It's expensive.
Oh, that's right. They were in California.
Mm-hmm. He was sending me pictures of it. It's so beautiful inside.
It is. It's
really
nice.
beautiful. You know, it's funny. If we're such a racist people, how can black people and white people coexist so peacefully when we're cheering on teams? I wonder, how does that work out? You know, you're supposed to hate everybody who doesn't look like you, right? That's the narrative.
Yeah, then we only hate people from Cleveland.
Ah. I don't even hate people from Cleveland.
Neither do I.
You know, I like Cleveland. I like Philly. You know, it is a great town. I really like Philadelphia.
Never been.
You've never been to Philadelphia? Really?
Mm-mm.
I've never been to Baltimore.
I've been to Baltimore.
Never been to Baltimore.
I've never been a lot of places.
I've never been a lot of places.
Yeah.
That's why.
The nice thing is with my brother moving to Gettysburg, I've gone there more and seen more now.
Oh, yeah.
Which is kind of nice.
It's such a beautiful drive,
It's like
too.
I have a reason to go there now, so it's.
Plus, I think he enjoys what you do.
Yeah.
You know.
He's one of the few that will pay attention to the show.
You know, I find when it comes to family listening or paying attention, I really don't care.
Yeah.
Like, that's fine. Doesn't matter to me. As long as you do.
Well, I think a lot of, like, I never discussed politics with him until all this crap. He lived in King County, Seattle, which is like ground zero for.
Oh, and he and his wife built a beautiful house.
Yeah, and then they just up and left. They're like, this is too much.
They have a daughter.
Yeah, picked up and moved. You know, so it's, but we never talked politics. And I think that's a lot of people. I think a lot of people never talked politics until now. Until
Remember, it was supposed to be one of the things you just really don't talk about.
We're like, and even in this business, you didn't really talk politics. You know, you had topics, but I mean, now it's Rush Limbaugh was the first one to really talk politics.
Yep. Well, I want to hear, we'll get these calls and get them done so they don't have to be on hold. But then I want to talk about Dershowitz. I think he had a really great soundbite.
Yeah, Portland. I lived in Portland. It was beautiful. It's gone to. How many people talk politics on Thanksgiving?
I don't.
Over that. Well, I'm saying
I almost never do.
How many people were not invited this year?
At my in-laws' house, I never do. Ever. I know how I feel. They know how I feel. Who cares? They don't.
Does anyone else? I understand you don't. Because you do it. You don't do it just for the 3 hours here. We do it outside of here too, because of this 3 hours. So,
right.
I mean,
I just find it difficult when people express themselves really strongly, and yet they haven't really read anything.
Right.
You know, that's frustrating to me. And I think that the lion's share of information consumers are drive-buyers. They cherry pick a morsel here or there or something in their news feed, and they go with it. And you know, it's one thing if your information is going to be bad on the president, Trump.
Here we go.
It's another thing if it's about COVID, which is serious. Welcome back, everybody, to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, I was listening to Alan Dershowitz over the weekend. He was on one of the programs. I forget which one. I think it might have been Newsmax, and it might have been right when the verdict came down. And he changed my mind about something that I've been on the fence about. There's a side of me that believes having cameras in the courtroom is really unnecessary, because then it does this jockeying, this play-by-play every day. It gives the media something to do because they obviously don't know how to do their jobs. I mean, it's undeniable. They don't know how to be reporters or journalists anymore. So if you give them a trial, you give them made-for-TV facts or whatever the information might be. But he said, and I happen to agree with him now, it was so important to have the cameras in the courtroom for Kyle Rittenhouse's trial to specifically debunk the garbage being put out by the media and by lawmakers. I mean, I'm even seeing Reese Witherspoon get involved. I don't care what you think. I really don't. Maria Shriver. I'm just so mystified. I don't know what to tell my son. Well, your son's 26. I'm sure he can figure it out, Maria, okay? It's not like he's teething, right? I mean, you total idiot. Right? I don't know what to say. What do you say to your child? Can you give me a beer? I mean, like, really? You want to go to hit the bars? I don't know. So like, I do get it. But aren't you also kind of mystified? Why isn't there a camera in the Ghislaine Maxwell trial? Why don't we get to see all of that sick, sordid crap? Who was with Jeffrey Epstein? Or does the elite, that top creme de la creme percent, who was involved in some really disgusting crap, do they have a special tier of justice? I guess they can get away with whatever. Let's get out to Barb in Illinois. Barb, what's going on? Thanks for holding, dear.
I would like to think that they should take down the mainstream media first and do away with the politicians' mouthpiece. And then go after the politicians from top to bottom. And anybody else that done him any harm as far as, you know, making his name look bad.
Yeah. Why not go after LeBron James? Why not go after him? He mocked him. He said nasty stuff about him. I guess he could probably go after him too. Like, the sky's the limit.
Oh, I absolutely think he needs to go after Joe Biden.
I agree. I think that it'll be interesting to see what happens if you can go after candidate or president. Probably candidate. Let's get out to Mike in South Carolina. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Wendy. How you doing today, girl?
I'm good. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hey, sue them all. Every single one of them. I don't care who you start with. Just sue them all. All right? On another side note there, okay, I was watching it on Friday when all 5 counts came down not guilty. I was happier than a pig stuck in you-know-what, okay? But over the weekend, Fox News channel came on with something very interesting that no other channel has shown yet. Do you realize that there was another individual Friday that was acquitted on all charges of murder due to self-defense?
Yeah, he was black.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
What other news agency has been showing this? I haven't seen it. I saw it once on Fox News channel.
Right. I try not to watch too closely, but that doesn't fit the narrative, okay? You know, that doesn't fit what they're trying to do. That it's all about helping white people. There you go.
Exactly. It's a racial card. That's all it is.
I agree.
You know?
I appreciate.
I just wanted to call in and let you know that.
Thank you. No, I appreciate your time. Thanks, Mike. I do want to play you the sound from Dershowitz. So he's on with Hannity, I think. This is a clip that I grabbed. And I want you to hear what he has to say, because he brings up such salient points about how this trial, in the end, had less to do with Kyle Rittenhouse and more to do with indicting the mainstream media.
Professor Dershowitz, as you listen to critics of this verdict, what do you think?
Well, critics and many of the people who support the conviction just heard a different case. They heard a case of a white supremacist crossing state lines with an AR-15 who had no business being in the place that he went to, who went for no good reason, who wasn't chased, who had no fear for his life. That's what CNN told their viewers. And I hope that Rittenhouse sues CNN. And I want to make an offer. I want to offer to share my research about CNN with Rittenhouse and his lawyers. As you know, I'm suing CNN because they totally distorted and edited a tape of my defense of President Trump. They have a policy, a history of distorting facts in order to present a narrative. And I think that you have to distinguish between opinions and facts. You can't sue somebody for calling Rittenhouse a vigilante. That's a matter of opinion. But you can sue them for saying that he crossed state lines with an illegal weapon or that he was a white supremacist. And I do think, although I'm a strong supporter of the First Amendment, that CNN and others have to be held accountable for abusing the First Amendment and lying about individuals and creating an expectation of a conviction in a case where there was no realistic possibility of a conviction for anybody who actually saw the trial live on television.
100% correct. 100% correct. Either you paid attention to the case or you didn't. Now, here's the dangerous collateral damage with allowing the media to run amok, with giving a pass to race-baiting, noxious reporters, regardless of their affiliate or their cable channel. So, over the weekend, a guy plows into a crowd of people in Waukesha, Wisconsin. It's a Christmas parade. A Christmas parade. And the suspect, 39-year-old Daryl Brooks, NBC News is identifying, is a guy with a known criminal past, known to dislike President Trump. Black guy. Does it matter that he's black? It shouldn't. Should it matter that Kyle Rittenhouse was white? It shouldn't. Does it matter that Kyle Rittenhouse didn't kill any black people, but Black Lives Matter wants to make it an issue? It shouldn't, but it does. Is the real issue here, and by the way, 5 people are dead, 20-odd injured. Brooks has not formally been identified as a suspect by police, has not yet been charged, and the motive remains unclear. But it's disgusting. 5 people dead. Did you see the video? I mean, barrels into this crowd. We're creating so much anger and animosity in people that these are the sorts of things that happen. And I find it mystifying that the people that the left wants to exalt, wants to celebrate, are almost never the kind of people you want to get behind. George Floyd was by no means a hero. His criminal past was dizzying. The 2 men that Kyle Rittenhouse killed weren't choir boys. One raped children. Okay? Think about that. Another had an arm's length criminal past. These are not individuals who were just, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. These are bad people. Is it that they're so desperate? Is the media or our politicians? Is everybody in general so desperate for people to pay attention to them, to tell them that their opinion matters, that there's some semblance of relevance to them in any capacity, that you're willing to go out and say stupid stuff? I mean, this is absolutely jaw-droppingly horrifying that a man would be disgruntled to the point of getting in a vehicle, which is a freaking missile, and gunning it into a Christmas parade. And I think one of the groups of people right before impact, dancing grannies. Really? Do you really think that Mr. Brooks, if he's actually the one who's found guilty or charged in this case, they really have an axe to grind against grandmothers? Desperate for some relevance, so you're going to go out like this? You know, I don't believe that Kyle Rittenhouse intended to go make the nightly news. I think he went to go do what people wouldn't do. And that's to stand up, to pitch in, to help out, to do something rather than stand by. And for him to be torn to shreds like this is interesting. Report, Kyle Rittenhouse could sue media outlets for defamation. Kyle Rittenhouse could sue media outlets that continue to refer to him as a murderer or a white supremacist after his acquittal, according to one of the defamation lawyers that represented student Nick Sandmann against CNN and others. The 18-year-old Rittenhouse was acquitted Friday, blah, 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 blah. Rittenhouse shot 3 rioters in self-defense, killing 2. News outlets and Democrats, including then-candidate Joe Biden, claimed Rittenhouse was a white supremacist without evidence. As Breitbart News noted Friday, Rittenhouse can sue Biden because he made the claim after it was clear there was no evidence and before he enjoyed presidential immunity. Newsweek reported Saturday Rittenhouse could also sue media outlets for continuing to make similar claims. He could argue Biden defamed him with a tweet apparently linking him with white supremacists, according to a lawyer who won a defamation suit for Sandmann. Todd McMurdy helped Sandmann, a former Kentucky high school student, reach a settlement with CNN after he was portrayed as the aggressor in an apparent confrontation with a Native American activist. Blah, blah, blah. He also saw similarities with the Sandmann case and suggested that a number of media outlets could also face defamation claims for how they portrayed Rittenhouse. Lots of media people said he was a murderer, and I think that's actionable because that suggests that he committed a crime, and we now know he did not. MSNBC's conduct during the trial was so egregious, the judge booted the network from the courthouse. Of course, as you remember, Sandmann said before the verdict, "I'm here for you." Damn right. Take them for everything they're worth. Dr. Richard Rafferty at the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh invites those of you who've been told that epidurals, those shots in between the vertebrae of your spine, are the only way that you can survive your bulging, herniated, or degenerative discs pain-free. What an awful thing to hear. Or that you need spinal surgery. Dr. Rafferty from the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh has an alternative. It's called intradisc nutrosis, and it's 98% successful. Just is. It's very basic to find out if he can help you. You call 412-906-9600. He's going to want to look over your scans. He's going to look at what's going on in your back and your neck and tell you if you're a candidate. How about that? Costs you nothing to figure it out. 412-906-9600. Ask Dr. Rafferty about intradisc nutrosis. Go to PittsburghDiscInstitute.com. You know, when we come back, I'm going to pivot here. I want to talk to you a little bit about something else that's going on. Some interesting data that I've uncovered. I'm going to open the door to that. And I think we'll probably spend the lion's share of the 11 o'clock first segment going over it. Just when you think the media couldn't lie to you anymore. Well, sadly, we're going to prove to you they can. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio program.
Battle out.
Yes, thank you. I had my sheet all wrong. I was like, bah.
You have any time after the show, Tuesday or Wednesday?
Sure, what do you need?
Spots.
Oh, yes. For sure, for sure. I can do it anytime you want. Ha! Jack made it on TV last night. Oh, what a guy. Do I see him? I do not. That's funny. Actually, I want to do this. Let's see.
So how long is Jack home for?
Just this week. He'll go back on Sunday.
And then back for Christmas at...
Yeah, I think he goes back to school for 2 weeks. Yeah, I know. And then I have to get him another ticket. So it certainly would be a lot more affordable if he went to Penn State.
Right, right.
Can we go farther away to school next time? That'd be great.
Appreciate the help. All right, here we go. I'll battle.
Well, the holidays are gearing up at the Battlegrounds and at Show Me Your Hobbies. Their hobby shop is loaded with the latest RC cars, trucks, boats, crawlers, and more. Grab one for yourself. Maybe go with a gift card for that RC or airsoft enthusiast in your life. And if you want even more excitement, the Battlegrounds is ready to host your private birthday party, your corporate holiday party, or any other celebration. From Nerf and Airsoft to bow tag and rivals, the activities are endless at the Battlegrounds. Don't forget, their hours will be extended throughout the holiday season for more open play sessions, but you got to register on their website. Go to thebattlegroundspa.com. Give them a call, 412-530-2192, and be sure to check them out on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Don't just play the game, be the game at the Battlegrounds. So it seems like for the rest of our lives now, the singular most important thing on planet Earth is black versus white. That's the number one defining factor in the United States of America. It might not be for you, but it sure is what everybody on the left wants you to talk about. If you're white, there's a problem. Ah, fantastic. God forbid we should talk about things that actually matter. How about this? I stumbled upon this, written by Pat Buchanan, and I think it's outstanding, and you deserve to hear this. All people deserve to hear this. Unfortunately, January 6th was not an isolated event, warned FBI Director Christopher Wray last winter. The problem of domestic terrorism has been metastasizing across the country for a long time now, and it's not going away anytime soon, he said. Since he became director in 2017, since he became director in 2019, said Wray, FBI domestic terrorism investigations had doubled in number to more than 2,000. And FBI investigations of white supremacists had tripled. I don't know where these people are. Do you guys know where they are? Because I'm not running around them a lot. Listening to Wray, one came away with the impression that right-wing terrorism was our foremost internal security issue, that the January 6th riot was a manifestation of that terrorism, and that white supremacists topped the list of dangerous enemies inside our own country. The vast turnout of police and press for the September 18th protest on the Mall to demand fairness for the January 6th, quote, patriots, suggested that our elites share Ray's alarm. All seemed disappointed when the brown shirts failed to show up. Yet, with this week's release of FBI statistics on violent crime in America showing a record 30% surge in homicides in 2020 over 2019, questions arise. What caused the number of U.S. victims of murder and manslaughter to explode by almost 5,000 last year to reach a total of 21,500? Why are homicides rising another 10% this year? Why are murders and manslaughters rising so dramatically in the United States? For that number of killings, 21,500 in 2021, it's 3 times the number of U.S. soldiers dead in 20 years of fighting in Afghanistan and Iraq. The FBI report breaks down last year's homicide victims by race, ethnicity, and sex, although not all law enforcement agencies provide such data. Of the people killed in 2020, at least 9,913 were Black, 7,029 white, 497 from other races, 14,000 men killed, roughly 3,500 women. The startling number here, there were nearly 3,000 more Black victims who wound up dead in America from criminal violence than there were white victims, though Blacks at 12 to 13% of the U.S. population are only 1/5 of the size of the white population. Translation, Black Americans are being shot, stabbed, and beaten to death at a rate 6 to 7 times that of whites. And by the end of this year, well over 10,000 Blacks will have been made victims of homicide in America. That figure breaks down to roughly 200 Black folks dead every single week in this country from gunshot wounds and other criminal violence. The question unanswered and unasked in the Times and Post stories is, who's doing this? Who's killing all these Black people? If the slogan proclaims Black Lives Matter, why is there not greater public alarm at BLM and who's killing so many Black people? But again, in 1 year, the number of Blacks killed in violent crimes in America, 3 in 4 by gunshots, will exceed 10,000. How many Blacks in 2021 this year were victims of the Proud Boys, or the Oath Keepers, or the 3 Percenters, or neo-Nazis, or the Klan? If rogue white cops are the scourge of Black America, as we've been instructed to believe, how many killings of unarmed Blacks were done by the white cops this year and last? Don't bother asking these questions, of course. In the wake of George Floyd's death, defund the police became the chant of 100 leftist protests. Police funds were cut. Elites turned hostile to cops they once hailed as first responders. Demoralized, many police ceased to be proactive. Police resignations and retirements came in record numbers. When the peace forces in our society were morally disarmed, their natural enemies, the criminal element, seized the opportunity. 10,000 Black people will die by the end of this year. Where's that? You want to talk about one white guy who shot and killed 2 white guys? Why doesn't Black Lives Matter focus on something else? How about Tiffany Cross? How about Joy Reid or any other leftist? Because it doesn't fit the narrative. You're listening to the Wendy Bell Radio program. Ten thousand human beings. For what? Killed for what?
just a reminder, guys, too, we'll be here on Thanksgiving. So when you have the turkey defrosting and putting it in, we'll still be here. So are we doing good news, bad jokes on Thursday this week?
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, it doesn't seem fair to have Dimitri have to struggle with that.
Yeah. And she will be off on Friday to spend time with her kids before they're tired of her and want to go back. Now, I guess you've only experienced it from Michael, are they in a good mood for a week while they're here? Are they genuinely in a good mood, like happy to be home?
Yeah.
For the whole week? So there's like no fighting or?
It wanes. It wanes. Because, I mean, they're used to living alone. Not alone, but on their own.
Right.
Doing what they want.
And Dimitri will be filling in on Friday, which we will be doing the show still on this page. So hopefully you guys will check it out on Friday, if for no other reason to see if it's a train wreck, because Jason will be running the show. Now, the good thing about Dimitri is he's a like-minded guy. I mean, he thinks a lot like we all do, not just Wendy, like we all do.
When he actually interviewed me on his show, I thought he gave it great.
Yeah.
I really did. That was one of the best interviews I've had. Great. Yes.
You know,
He said I was not prepared for it. Great.
I'm gonna give her a compliment. One of the things about interviewing, and you notice it when you finally see it, you know, being in this business, 20 some years, I heard a lot of interviews, but she's exceptionally good at it. And I never realized why. And it's so simple. She lets them talk. You never realize how effective an interview is when you give someone the ability to talk to talk about what they know and what their experience is, instead of cutting them off. There's a lot of hosts and interviewers out there that before the interviewee gets their entire answer out, they're already jumping on something. It just Holly says she's been following Dimitri for a very long time.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, he is. That's what she said. Good guy. Like I said, he thinks the mindset is much of the same. He knows the media, and he was in the paper business. So, I mean, he's been in the paper and the radio business, and he says a lot of the same things. Like, I told you this. It's almost like our job to call them out. Right? Like, because a lot of people don't see the behind the scenes BS that goes on. Because you never think about the story that doesn't air because you never see it. But it didn't air because someone was going to pull funding or.
Oh, were you talking about Hannity?
No. I was not giving any. There are multiple hosts. from a local to a national perspective that don't truly, and like I said, I didn't truly understand an interview until you came along. And it was such a contrast to what I was used to seeing. And I'm like, oh, wow.
It's a lot more interesting when
It's
you let
more
people
interesting
talk.
when they talk.
Why am I going to tell you what they're going to say? Right?
One thing that's turned me off to, and this just isn't Fox, a lot of TV shows when it comes to the current event shows, is that they have them on for 3 minutes. What could you possibly, and the 3 minutes isn't even all theirs. It's the soundbite media. What can you possibly say? And these are the experts. You're going to have a lawyer.
I'd much rather have a conversation with somebody that takes.
That's what's great about this.
Right.
It gives you that chance to have an expanded forum for what people want to talk about. I'm going to have to go home and take some Midol.
Midol? You have cramps?
No, but it's fantastic for headaches.
Midol is.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. I'm man enough to take it.
Well, it's not like you're going to just grow breasts. I'd be popping them all day long.
Or grow an ego.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Using facts to take on the woke politicians, triggered leftists, and the corporate media.
You just got to try harder not to suck.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, you're listening to the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Our third busy broadcast hour is now underway here at the Wendy Bell radio program. As always, I'm really grateful that you guys are here. Thanks so much for choosing this show. We do enjoy talking to you every day. Earlier this year, my family got COVID. So kind of swept through the house. And it was interesting to watch what was going to happen with the variety of us. And it started, I think, probably with one of my boys. And I didn't put it all together, which seems stupid. He came home from school. He had a terrible headache. And he's like, oh, my goodness, it's right here behind my eye. He says, I'm just so tired. And I said, well, headaches are the pits, honey. I grew up with terrible headaches. Here, take a couple Advil, go lie down, and I'll wake you up in a couple hours and you can do your homework and whatnot. And this probably lasted 3 or 4 days. Just didn't feel like himself. And then he kind of limped through the weekend and was back at him doing his normal stuff. And then Joe got it. And he's vaccinated. And he's like, woke up one morning and he's like, we weren't sure that Ryan had COVID or not until later, because I'm too dumb to know. I mean, it really changes in everybody. It's a little different in everybody. All of us had different symptoms. We all presented in different ways. We were down for different days and had different ailments per se. But I remember Joe, he's like, I'm getting sick. Now, he'd been a frontline worker since the very beginning of COVID. So we were all kind of surprised that he hadn't already gotten it. He dealt with dozens and dozens of patients who tested positive, et cetera, et cetera. And as a cardiologist, it's not like you're like, well, I can't go make sure you're okay just because you're positive. They put on the gown, blah, 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 and he was fine. So I'm pretty sure he ended up getting it at home, which they say is the number one place we tend to get sick is at home. Joe's was a little different. He had a scratchy throat, and he's never sick, ever. He's like you, Brock, never sick. And then he blew his nose. He was a little bloody, and he's like, this is weird. I don't feel good. And so that night, earlier this year.
Code red, Joe's sick.
Yes, and that never happens. So we were like, oh, snap. And then the twins, right? Then the twins got it. tested them both. And kids are very different. Very different. They had more like cold symptoms, but they had Ryan's headache behind the one eye, terrible headache, no fever, nothing really bad. They kind of coughed a little bit, and that was like a week, but they had to be off school for 2 weeks. And I got it, and mine was different, right? So Joe's vaccinated, and as a healthcare provider, also got monoclonal antibodies, which, by the way, you cannot find. It's like going to your CVS pharmacy and trying to find ivermectin. Doesn't happen. So we have this therapeutic, if you will, these antibodies, which we've heard do something very expeditious if caught in the requisite period of time, the first 5 to 7 days of your infection with COVID. If you get monoclonal antibodies, it's supposed to really do a number on your symptoms. It's supposed to get you up out of bed feeling good. I never got a call back. I called 2 different places. One was the big local healthcare provider, UPMC here in Pennsylvania. Crickets. They couldn't even call me back to say, sorry, we don't like you. You're not part of the group. You're not allowed to get these.
You don't fit our narrative.
Right. We only save certain people, and that's not you. But then there was another clinic. Not even a phone call back. It's so poorly, haphazardly managed. All of it, from soup to nuts. And I started thinking several months ago, after, the family goes through all this, I'm like, this is really the biggest travesty that this government and government agencies are perpetuating on the American people. And how many people are walking around absolutely petrified, scared to death of each other? Meanwhile, I was just delighted that everybody went through it. We've got the antibodies. Everybody is strong. Everybody is protected. To be honest with you, the only people I worry about in my family is my one son who's vaccinated and my husband who's vaccinated. That vaccine scares the liver out of me. This isn't just hyperbole. This isn't me saying, oh, I don't like vaccine. I really, from the reading that I've done and from the research that I have, am not down with this vaccine. So I'm going to bring out the BS board for you because I think it's important for us to walk through this together.
Time to cut the crap because Wendy's breaking out the Ireland Contracting BS board.
I'm kicking myself for when we went to the pediatrician over the summer to get the boys all the things that they need to be cleared for school and sports, etc., that I didn't ask the pediatrician, who I love and has been our pediatrician for 21 years, that I didn't ask when he asked me, so are you guys all vaccinated? And I was like, no, I'm not really down with that. Can I talk to you about it? And I said, no thanks. What I should have said was, tell me what you know about VAERS. What do you know about people having adverse reactions to this vaccine? Whether it's Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, or Moderna. What do you know about that? Because you ought to know something about that. That was my fault. Because I read about it all the time. So clearly, I have a certain perspective that most people who are pushing the vaccine, if they're not also reading what I'm reading, aren't aware of. The vaccine adverse event reporting system is something that's voluntary, as we've spoken about on this program. And a study conducted by researchers at Stanford University, if I'm not mistaken, discovered that in VAERS, the number of people underrepresented is something to the effect of 90 to 99%. So the numbers that you see in the vaccine adverse event reporting system are gross underestimates. That study from Stanford gleaned gross underestimates of how many people have had problems with a variety of medications. Well, in the UK, they have a similar VAERS, but it's called the UK's Health Security Agency. Their health security agency compiles this data just like VAERS does, and they put out some very interesting information. 82% of COVID deaths in the UK have happened after vaccination. Did you guys know that? 82% of COVID deaths have happened after people have been vaccinated. Ladies and gentlemen, that isn't just a shift of narrative. That's a complete upside downing of every single thing we've been told. What have we been told about the vaccine? Get it. It's safe and effective. Get it. Protect your grandparents. Get it. It's patriotic. Get it. It's going to prevent you from getting the virus. That's how it started. Then having bad symptoms with the virus. Then being hospitalized with the virus and then dying with the virus. Now, what do we know? None of that is true. None of it. 82%, according to the UK's Health Security Agency. How about this chart? This is the one that I think is the most, I have to think about the right word for you here, because it's jaw-droppingly horrifying. COVID deaths within 28 days of vaccination. Unvaccinated is on the left, vaccinated is on the right. And it breaks it up into age groups. Under 18, 18 to 29, and then every decade after. I want you to look at this. Under 18, there have been 7 unvaccinated deaths in the UK, according to this system. 0 vaccinated. That's not surprising. The vaccine isn't really for people under the age of 12. Who knows how much they've vaccinated 12 to 15-year-olds? I don't know. Between the ages of 18 and 29, there have been 8 unvaccinated deaths and 1 vaccinated death. 30 to 39, 21 unvaccinated deaths to 12 vaccinated. Now, this is where things get interesting. In the 40s, things even out. There are as many vaccinated deaths as there are unvaccinated. Within 28 days of vaccination, 40 and 40. Now things start going sideways. In the 50s, 84 unvaccinated people have died, 107 vaccinated. 60 to 69, 124 unvaccinated versus 355. Something's happening. That's more than 100% more. 7 to 79, 140 unvaccinated deaths to 780 vaccinated deaths. And in the 80 plus, 163 unvaccinated and 1,527. 1,527. Ladies and gentlemen, you add this up. And according to these adverse events reported to their UK system, 587 unvaccinated deaths because of COVID, 2,822 vaccinated. That means for every 1 COVID death in an unvaccinated person, 4 people who are vaccinated are dying with COVID in the UK. 4 to 1. What is going on? Why are people who have been vaccinated dying 4 times more than the unvaccinated? Where's the coverage? We got wall to wall on a young man all weekend long. Where's this? We're going to talk more about that in just a minute. You know, when I think about business, I think of websites, how they look, how they run. That centralized place perspective clients land to see who you are and what you're all about. So ask yourself, is your company website up to par? And if your answer is no, let Sierra Experts check it for free. Sierra Experts is a managed service provider started by a veteran right here in Pittsburgh. They can set up your network, they can secure it, manage it, and so much more. They're experts in website design, digital marketing, custom-made software development, network monitoring, and even backup and disaster recovery. You need smart people on your team who treat your business the way you do. Those people work at Sierra Experts. No matter where you live or the size of your project, call them today. 412-379-8333 or online, go to sierraexperts.com. We're going to go over this in more detail. I'm going to read to you an accompanying story that's in England right now. Why aren't we talking about this? And more importantly, why are vaccinated people dying from COVID so much more than those who haven't been vaccinated? Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Wendy Bell Radio program. Scary. Oh, yeah. What do you need?
Just something for
You.
Yeah, just a small little thing.
Do you want me to come in and grab
A
it?
token of his appreciation. No.
I'll bring it.
My pants are falling down. I'm going to hoist them back up. There we go. I feel much better now. I know you guys do too.
Appreciate it.
There you go. I'm so not ready for Christmas carols, you guys. And all we hear is the Christmas carols in the hallway. Does that make me a Grinch? Does it? No.
No. I'm not ready either.
Just for the next couple days.
Got it.
Awesome.
Although I do like Christmas carols.
I will see you tomorrow.
I'll never forget the
Yeah,
time.
if you need anything, we're all
Thank you.
I'll never forget the time when I lived in Portland. We decorated my brother's house. And we did it like the Griswolds. We stapled lights just going on the house. Like, I don't think his neighbors were too happy.
Ryan wants to do Christmas lights, and I've never really done them, to be honest with you. I'd love to outline the entirety of the house in pretty white lights, but it seems like a tremendous pain in the rump.
It's a lot of up and down on the ladder, but I mean, it can be done. You have 3 kids that can get on a ladder and are pretty tall.
Yeah. This means getting people motivated to come outside and help out.
If he truly wants to do it, I will come over and help him if he wants. I like to decorate, but I don't decorate outside my house.
Bliss lights. I've never heard of bliss lights.
You're right. They have those lights you can they're like netting. You just throw them on
Yeah, I don't like
It's
that.
cheating,
Yeah.
but, as long as you're decorating when it's not cold as huevos outside, it's okay. All right, here we go.
So the study that I'm putting up here on the board is from naturalnews.com. Now, one of the things I like about Natural News is they source everything so that you can click clickable links and it takes you to the tables that they refer to. So in this article regarding the UK, And regarding this staggering, for every one unvaccinated death, there are 4.8 vaccinated ones. Look, I can ask you this question. Why aren't we talking about this? Because it doesn't fit the narrative. And the narrative is you must be vaccinated. And then you must be boosted. And then you will be boosted forever because greed knows no satisfying. When you're making billions of dollars, I saw internal documents about CVS Pharmacy. They've made billions of dollars off of COVID. And you wonder why they don't allow you to have access to ivermectin? Do you want to connect those dots? Of the 10,179 COVID patients hospitalized, according to this report out of the UK, nearly 2/3 are vaccinated. Not only is the vaccine not doing its job, is it making people sicker? Is it making people sicker? There's a reason I was talking to you about my family's experience with COVID. The one vaccinated person in the house, my husband, the doctor, who obviously got vaccinated because he works with people in at-risk categories. He got COVID anyway. And of all of us, his was by far the worst. Two-thirds of 10,000 people hospitalized with COVID are vaccinated. What about that narrative that says this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated? What if, in fact, what if it happens that it's the unvaccinated who are the strong ones? What then? I want to read you this. I don't have a lot of time for it, so I'm going to. Attorney releases first pages from subpoenaed FDA files. Shows Pfizer documented 158,000 adverse events with 25,000 nervous system disorders in the first few months of distribution. A lawyer had to file a subpoena to request from the Food and Drug Administration, the same FDA that unanimously believes the Pfizer shot is safe for your child, had to file a subpoena to get the FDA to share factual information regarding the Pfizer jab and how many people reported stuff going wrong immediately after getting that shot. And now we understand that the FDA has asked a federal judge to grant it until 2076 to fully release Pfizer's COVID-19 data. What, pray tell, takes 55 years to compile, unless you're just trying to hide a whole lot of stuff that would sink this whole charade? Don't go anywhere. We've got more on this coming up right after this on the Wendy Bell Radio program. Hi. This is gross.
I ended up getting like a multivitamin that has the zinc and the vitamin C in it. And because I was talking to Kate, I'm like, you know what? it's wintertime. I should probably have it anyways.
Oh.
You know, I haven't had that I know of, you know.
Well, judging from what I experienced, I mean, it felt like a mild flu.
Right. I mean, I could
You know?
have. I don't know.
Now, certainly some people have much worse reactions. I mean, it's certainly a wake-up call for people who are unhealthy. It's kind of scary. But it was very interesting to watch the twins. And I felt like a fool because Ryan, I didn't even know.
Well, you know what it is? I think it's.
I was expecting something much more cataclysmic. Because they're like, everybody's dying.
Right.
And then your kid comes home and he's like, I'm tired and I've got a bad headache. And I'm like, all right, well.
Well, and you don't want to jump to conclusion. What do all doctors always say? Get off of WebMD.
Right.
Quit self-diagnosing.
Right. Right.
And you got to.
I would never have thought. I never would have in a million years with Joe's symptoms. I never would have thought to test him.
You got to love, like Anthony Fauci saying recently, and he said it in the past in July about an attack on him as an attack on science. He's been the farthest thing
Your
from a
science
scientist.
blows.
Hello, I'm not a scientist, but I understand that science is all about questioning. You question what no one else questions when you're a scientist. If that's the case, Mr. Fauci, you wouldn't do gain of function. Gain of function is questioning.
You're playing God.
You're questioning. Questioning is the basis of science. Here I go. Probably gonna have to go get a Christmas tree Sunday.
You're gonna have to get a what?
Christmas tree.
A Christmas tree?
We usually go cut one down and then have lunch afterwards.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. That's a nice tradition. Ours is at the school, so I pay the kids, not really, to pick the tree and then walk it home.
Well, I thought about that and I tried to sell it like it's a good cause, you know.
No, you've got a shtick.
Yeah, well, it's just such a long drive.
Where is it?
It's up past Zillinople.
It's beautiful, though.
It's so, and I mean, we've been going there since I was a kid. You know, he's been there forever.
Oh, that's nice. Wow, you look really excited about it.
I mean, I enjoy it. I took my chainsaw the last time we went. I'm like, I'm getting too old for this, getting on my hands and knees.
And it's muddy.
And I'm just like, and it kind of takes the
I was going to say.
Out of it, but.
Just hear those sleigh bells.
Yeah. I did leave the hockey mask at home, though.
Right, that's good.
I mean, I think that's the most exciting time of the year for me. Two of my favorite movies are Christmas movies. National Lampoons. I seriously could watch that year round. I think it's just funny. And it's one of those things that I'm repeating every line as they
Mine
do.
is Trading Places.
Yeah. That and I'm a huge fan of the black and white. It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, yeah.
I don't need it colored. I think Donna Reed in that is stunning. What's the tree place called? Grups?
Grups?
Grups. Grupps.
Grups.
Christmas Tree Farm. It's out in the middle of, you're driving down like this. If you haven't replaced the shocks on your car, you probably have to. But no, I mean, it was fun. But then I'm the one that has to yank it all the way to the car.
Oh, your petite little wife can't drag a full tree from.
Although they do have carts now, which is
wow.
awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, let me take the complete mystique out of chainsaw, carts. I'm falling apart, man.
Oh, shut up.
Falling apart. Getting old.
What's falling apart?
I have things that hurt I didn't even know I had.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is that? Is that a muscle? Oh.
Have a baby.
Oh, here we go.
And then do it again.
Hey, can you get off the cross?
And then do it again.
Hey, get a hobby.
And then do it again.
Get a hobby.
You're such an ass.
Look, you just swore.
It's total ass.
Wow.
So that critical thinker in me, who's always in me, there's not a darn thing about this whole pandemic that I believe anymore. I just don't. I don't believe the PCR tests, which are not made to test for this, actually work. If they work so much, right? And if we're really all about safety and wellness, it's all about getting everybody well and protecting lives. Tell me, why is a COVID test at CVS or a Rite Aid $25? Couldn't possibly make any money off of that, could you? Right? I don't believe any of this. I believe the data has been screwy from the very beginning, and it's been all to convince you to take one walk down one lonely path and finally do what you know you need to do. Get the damn jab. Well, that's why this is kind of interesting to me. Attorney releases first pages from subpoenaed FDA files. It's very scary that an attorney has to get a legal document in order for the FDA, who's supposed to work on behalf of us, in order to get factual information about when things went sideways with Pfizer's shot and how soon after they started rolling out those shots this year that we knew about it. Attorney Aaron Seary, managing partner of Seary and Glimstad, published his first report on the information he received after subpoenaing the FDA. All he wanted to know: how many people said they suffered adverse events in the first 2 months of this year? How many? And what were they? Nope, we're not going to tell you that. Oh, yeah, you are. Finally had to. Seary has extensive complex civil litigation experience, including civil rights involving mandated medicine. He recently told a U.S. panel discussion led by Senator Ron Johnson that during the COVID crisis, their phones have received an avalanche of requests for help. He added, if we actually sued all of the pharmaceutical companies for all of the complaints, it would actually be impossible for all the attorneys around the country to handle all of these matters. Literally, that's how big. He recently released the first batch of subpoenaed documents from the FDA on Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine. The documents reveal that in the first few months of this year, there were already 158,893 events reported through February. How many days is that? 30, January 31st, 31, 28. So what are you looking at? 59 divided into 100. Wow. That's a lot of people getting hurt, ladies and gentlemen. Including 25,957 nervous system disorders. 2 months and 1 day after it was sued, and close to 3 months since it licensed Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine, the FDA released the first round of documents it reviewed before licensing this product. The production consisted of 91 PDF pages, 1 XPT file, and 1 text file. And in fact, you can download this. This is on naturalnews.com. While it is for the scientists to properly analyze, here's an observation. One of the documents produced is a cumulative analysis of post-authorization adverse event reports of the vaccine received through the end of this February, which is a mere 2.5 months after the vaccine received emergency use authorization. This document reflects adverse events following vaccination that have completed Pfizer's workflow cycle, both in and out of the United States. This is what they found out. 158,893 events reported. Of these, 25,957 were nervous system disorders in the first 2.5 months, ladies and gentlemen. Post EUA Pfizer, it received its emergency use authorization. And after that, received 42,986 reports of serious reaction. 42,000 people filing 158,000 reports. Do you think there's a problem? That has never happened before in the history of vaccines in this country. Never. And now Fauci wants to give this to babies. Are you out of your mind? Look, you do you. I sure as heck hope that you're not one of these people. And when the answer comes back, well, we've given hundreds of millions of shots. This is just a small drop in the bucket. Really? When you're one of the 158,893, do you really care about how many other people don't have problems? I doubt it. Which is also why you have to scratch your head and say, why is it that the FDA has asked a federal judge to give it 55 years to turn over all of its information on the jab? 55 years, 2076. And this to me, also, shocking study in the New England Journal of Medicine reveals vaccine effectiveness plummets after just 2 months in all age groups. 2 months. So your elderly parents who think that they're safe, you who think that you're safe because you got the vaccine, well, I'm here to tell you that's not the case. New research out of Israel has found that so-called immunity created by the Wuhan coronavirus vaccines last about 2 months at best before all but disappearing entirely. While it initially seemed as though the mass injection campaign was curtailing the pandemic, months went by and the cases started to soar. Now, there are more illnesses and deaths than at any point since early 2020. Remember Joe Biden saying, Donald Trump doesn't have a plan. I have a plan. Well, your plan's got more people dead this year than they did last year, Joe. Is that your fault? I don't know, but you wanted to take credit for it. So how do you want to roll? In December 2020, Israel began a mass vaccination campaign against coronavirus disease by administering the BioNTech vaccine, Pfizer, which led to a sharp curtailing of the outbreak, the study explains. After a period with almost no cases of severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2 infection, it's a lot to say, a resurgent COVID-19 outbreak began in mid-June 2021. Mind you, we look at Israel because they are ahead of us, right? They're like 2 months ahead of us. So whatever happens there, we pay attention to. Well, things aren't working very well in Israel. Possible reasons for the resurgence were reduced vaccine effectiveness against the Delta variant and waning immunity. The extent of waning immunity of the vaccine against the Delta variant in Israel is unclear. Do we really think that there's a Delta variant, or do we think that this vaccine is causing mutations? Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? What's a virus's number one goal? Survival. They mutate to survive. You start aiming at it, start shooting at it, it evolves. Basic biology. The Delta variant, by the way, appears to be nothing more than a vaccine-induced illness that the media is trying to disguise by calling it a mutation of COVID. The only thing that is constantly mutating is the narrative as the scary and fear-mongering reaches a fever pitch. Meanwhile, people who took the jabs are getting sick in droves as their artificial immunity fades away into nothing, just as predicted. Is there a reason why your mainstream media doesn't cover this? Because they're hook, line, and sinker down with all of this. And that Kyle Rittenhouse is a white supremacist. For their research, scientists from numerous Israeli universities and medical institutions compared different groups of people in the same age groups who got vaccinated at different times. One group got jabbed right when the injections became available in January. Another got jabbed several months later. Across the board, those who were injected the earliest had the least amount of remaining immunity at the time of testing compared to those who got injected later. Among persons 60 years of age or older, the rate of infection in the July 11th through 31st period was higher among persons who became fully vaccinated in January. Makes sense. So one has to ask themselves, is anybody actually protected from anything? In their conclusion, the scientists stated that it is abundantly clear immunity against Chinese germs wanes in all age groups after just a few months of receiving the second injection dose. Variants are just a continuation of the hoax to keep people in fear so they get the vaccine, which is the real population control weapon. Again, that's in Natural News. You can check it out. So according to this research, UK, more people are dying who are vaccinated than not, to the tune of almost 5 to 1. 5 to 1. And down here, according to the subpoena of the FDA, which wouldn't willingly give over information regarding how many people immediately after getting the Pfizer jab reported side effects, nearly 160,000 people in just 2 short months. 26,000 of them with nervous system disorders. I don't know. I survived COVID. My family survived COVID. I'm grateful. I'm grateful that we're done with it, because this is what scares the hell out of me. And how many people don't know about this? You're just told, booster, booster, booster. You're going to need boosters all your life. To do what? Kelly Morgan and her family, proud supporters of this program, and I'm a proud supporter of what they do at Morgane's Fitness. She's a veteran. She's tough. And she's 4 Morgane's Fitness locations in southwestern Pennsylvania, Cambria, and Somerset counties. And inside all the things you could possibly want, 24/7 access, multiple membership options, all the free weights, the Nautilus, the plate-loaded weight machines, the cardio gear. There's a cross-training rig, indoor track and turf, group fitness classes, certified personal trainers, metabolism testing, body composition analysis, even childcare. And they've got franchises available for sale. Morgane's Fitness is a special place, and they help you realize your fitness goals and help you work hard to achieve them. If you're ready to pull the trigger on that and get in shape, MORGAINZ Fitness.com, MoreGainsFitness.com here in southwestern Pennsylvania. When we come back, I've got brilliant sound. So CNN tries to go toe-to-toe with the lieutenant governor-elect of Virginia. I'm just going to tell you that it didn't go well. It sure did not. And I've got the sound for you. It's brilliant. Coming up next on the Wendy Bell Radio program. All age groups. Protect your kids.
We got JD out of this.
Yes, thank you. Well, I sound like I'm going to lose my voice. That could be difficult. Get ready to talk a lot.
And I did not say it was easy to have a child.
You didn't say it was easy to what?
Have a child.
Yes, he did. I heard it.
That's fake news.
Mhm.
That's,
Yes, and
I
he
did
traveled
not say
across state lines to say that.
Yeah, right.
Yes, he did.
I know. What a racist statement I just gave.
Mm-hmm. This is inexcusable. Inexcusable.
He crossed state lines to say it. Oh, that's funny.
I'm awesome.
He crossed county lines just to say that.
Ooh, I've got 2 stories here, actually.
Remind me to tell you who downloaded the app after the show.
Okay. I also have that story. There's another bit of sound in there.
The lawyers?
Yes. Thank you.
I'm fired. Wouldn't be the first time.
Oh, wow. Listen to you like you've got any experience. I'm the one who got you fired.
That is fake news.
That's ridiculous.
Was I or was I not fired?
Mm-hmm.
It's fake news.
Before I was, too.
Right.
I blame him for my getting the axe.
Wow.
I think me cleaning out all my stuff after you got the axe was
Here we go
kind
with
of
your
proof.
fake crap.
John D'Onofrio is my attorney. He's the guy I trust when it comes to delicate matters like putting together that roadmap of your financial future, putting together your estate plan, figuring out where your assets go. When you're not here to decide, get that plan now. Sit down with somebody who's outstanding, who's got 40 years of experience, who knows the legal maze. His name is John D'Onofrio, and he's fabulous. Fabulous. 412-928-2036. No, excuse me, 412-928-2068. One more time, 412-928-2068. John D'Onofrio. I got ahead of myself there, John. I'm sorry about that. I changed your phone number. All right, I have 2 final blips of sound I want you to hear. So you can think that the media are entirely depraved. You'd be correct, because I subscribe to the same philosophy. However, their lawyers are paying attention. And I want you to hear this report. This is by Sarah Sidner on CNN. Listen to what may be the one cogent factual backpedal over the weekend that's made to hopefully raise the white flag so that Kyle Rittenhouse doesn't sue the liver out of CNN. Go.
This jury saw fit. We learned a lot of things in this trial that we should sort of go over, and I was just kind of reviewing some of the things that we learned in the trial that were not necessarily public knowledge before that. One, there has been a lot of talk, especially by politicians, about where Rittenhouse was the night of this shooting, and it turned out he was already in Kenosha, that he had family here, including his father, that the gun was here in Kenosha. He did not bring that over state lines. It turned out during this trial that we learned that the gun that he had a hold of, he actually could legally possess, according to the judge and according to the law here, because of the measurements of the gun. Had it been shorter and a short-barreled gun, then it would have been illegal, but because it wasn't, the judge said that that needed to be thrown out, and indeed, that charge of a minor in possession of a gun illegally was thrown out in this case. The jury only looking at those who were injured, those who were endangered, and those who were killed the night in August that Rittenhouse ended up shooting people. We also learned that he was working here that night, that he had stayed over that night here. And we saw some video of, for example, Joseph Rosenbaum, the first person that he shot and killed. We saw drone video, high-resolution drone video that did not come into this case until 5 days into this trial, and that is under contention. There was a mistrial requested because of both what the defense called prosecutorial overreach, and they said they were going to file about this video that appeared very late in the game, the high-resolution version of it.
Wow, huh? Don't tell me that the lawyers aren't keenly aware of what's going on. Now, for that young lady's, to her credit, she actually covered it fairly. Unbelievable. I'm almost in this weird twilight zone where I'm like, who are you and what have you done to the media? How hard was that? How hard was that? Tell the facts as presented in the trial. You don't have to invent things. Unless, of course, everything that you're trying to portray is debunked by the actual facts of the case. And you have to punt, right? Isn't that fascinating? Now, I want you to hear this as I'm giving them applause for that young lady. What's her face? Dana Bash? Dana Lash? Dana...
I think it's Dana Bash.
Dana Bash. Hackmore McSandwich. She's so bad, okay? Listen to her and her disdain. You don't have to even see it. You can hear the disdain she has as this CNN lady is interviewing Winsome Sears, the lieutenant governor-elect of Virginia. And listen to the stones one might have to ask this brazen of a personal medical health question. Go.
Saying whether you are vaccinated. Do you want to say now?
As I said, America, if it's nothing else, it's about liberty. It's about being able to live your life free from the government telling you what to do. And so we understand this thing about slippery slopes. The minute that I start telling you about my vaccine status, we're going to be down the bottom of the mountain trying to figure out how we got there, because now you want to know what's in my DNA. You're going to want to know this, that, and the other. In New York, you see, we have people, waiters asking people their vaccination status. And by the way, do you know what else they require? A photo ID to determine if this vaccine card you're presenting is really you. Who are we fooling? Come on. Let's say you get the vaccine. Go ahead and get the vaccine. If that's what you want to do, get the vaccine. Don't force it on anybody else. We know, and by the way, media, they're not telling us that people are suffering as a result of getting the vaccine. They have all kinds of problems. I understand it might be the minuscule, but when you're the one out of 30,000 that gets it, it's important to use.
Boom. Isn't it interesting, too? Do you guys see the look? If you watch the stream, the icy stare of the anchor, I really don't want to be talking to this woman, even though she checks quite a few boxes that we here on the left love to celebrate. She probably likes Donald Trump. How dare you ask if I'm vaccinated? Suck it. How about that? How about that, Dana? Let's ask you about your personal medical things. Have you ever had an abortion, Dana? That'd be awkward, wouldn't it? Why not? Don't you see how gross this is? I think Winsome Sears, to her credit, absolutely destroyed her. And by the way, they need photo ID. Boom! Mic drop. There's hope out there yet, ladies and gentlemen. There are fighters out there among us yet. Right? And that's why you come here every day, because you know we're among them. All right, so that wraps up a busy Monday. I want to thank you for joining us and invite you to download the Wendy Bell Radio Network app. Check out the merch. Keep smiling. And we'll see you back here tomorrow. Peace.